at you with the top trade targets and tradeaways going into week 6. I'm
Six.
here with my boy Mac. We're talking everything. It's going to be a long form show today, so make sure to still like this video and get in the comments who you're trading for, trading away. Let us know if you like our picks or not, but I can't wait to get in it. Mac, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been a slow start to the year. Scott Fishbowl, we are just dragging ourselves through the mud here with injuries and it's terrible. Anyways, I do want to start the show off by giving a shout out to my guy Bob. You wouldn't believe this. So in our dynasty league, Ryan, our buddy, puts up 182, which like this is typically like the median score is like 125.
Okay.
182 is a big number.
Sure.
I think our all-time high is like 220. So 182, really good score. Bob has 80 points going into the Monday night game. He's down 102 points.
Who does he have left?
He has 4 players left on the Monday night game. He has Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. He has Josh Jacobs at running back. He has Devontae Adams at wide receiver and the cherry on top, Travis Kelce.
Of course.
And there are bonuses for 100-yard receiving games, multi-touchdown scores, whatever. Not only does he come back to complete the 102-point comeback, he wins his matchup by 28 points.
That is crazy. Travis Kelce only had 25 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. Like 6 for 20, 6 or 7 for 24 and 4 scores.
Yeah.
I'm looking at like the tight end premium leagues that we have him in, and I'm just like, he didn't really even score that many more points because he just didn't have that much yardage. He didn't have that many catches. It was just 24 points from touchdowns, which is what you want from your tight ends.
Yeah, well, I mean, a tight end that didn't get one reception scored 35 points in Taysom Hill. he passed for a touchdown and he ran a couple more in, but what a world we live in. It's been a wild one so far, Mac. Hopefully y'all have been enjoying the content we've been putting out. All of our what to do with videos are doing super well, and we're getting to all the comments still, and it's a lot of fun. Mac, how have you been? You've been busy. We haven't been around too much.
No, like I've missed the stream. You've missed the stream. We've kind of been a little bit all over, but I think we're finally going to get like back into some normalcy, back into the groove. I'm good. Things are busy. Busy's good, but managing. Yeah. It's that time of the year though. Like we're kind of halfway through the regular fantasy season here. And this is kind of where we get a little bit of a lay of the land to try to maybe buy some guys that are low and sell some guys that are high, or maybe even the opposite, sell some big names that are not doing well that maybe people find some hope in, and we just need to get them off our squad. So we've got a bunch of candidates that we're going to talk about today. Taysom Hill is like a guy that I've brought up in the waiver segment a couple times. And it's like, I think Taysom Hill as a tight end is super interesting because he can, at a moment's notice, be your quarterback, and you just get to have a quarterback in your tight end slot. Like that's outrageous. He can be a running back 1 on the week. He can have 3 rushes for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like the realm of outcomes for him is so vast, but he can also give you what Cole Kmet gives you, which is 0. So he can either be Cole Kmet or he can be Travis Kelce and everything in between. I do think he's like worth a spot on your roster just for the volatility. Like I think that's what you want at the tight end position.
Well, and that's the thing with really there being only 2 safe tight ends and 2 difference maker tight ends with Kelce and Andrews. Why not have a Taysom Hill fill in that role? Because you're absolutely right. The volatility, the range of outcomes, it exists for Kittle, Pitts, Waller. We saw put up a donut this past week. I feel for anyone that needed anything from Darren Waller. So,
Kittle's kind of been inconsistent. Kyle Pitts didn't play. He also has 3 out of his 4 games under 5 points. Like you can do worse at the tight end position than Taysom Hill. So super interesting guy to talk about at that position. We don't really have any tight ends on this list tonight. We have specifically running backs and wide receivers. Um,
That's what everyone wants to hear about, anyways.
it's true.
Trade for targets. They're the juicy positions.
It's true. Yeah. So that's what we're gonna do. So Lane and I are gonna give you some buy and sell targets over the next half hour or so, and then we're gonna go back to the comments section if you're with us on YouTube, and we're gonna get your questions as a little Q&A as we always do. Get you sort of ready to go for Thursday night if you're looking there, or if you're even looking further ahead, we can help you with those start sits. But feel free to leave us a question in the comments. If you can leave us scoring settings, league format, that also really, really helps. So,
And let's be honest, no one wants to hear about Thursday night football with the Commanders and Bears. So that's why we're getting into the trade talk. That's not an exciting game for fantasy by any means.
no, you are absolutely correct on that one. No, that's fair. It's like one of two Thursday night games that are going to be an absolute dud, but there are some really, really solid ones. The Monday night game this week was outrageous. Like the Chiefs Raiders game was awesome. I do want to get your take though. Do you think Devontae Adams saw the camera guy or not?
um, I think he saw him with enough time to stop from pushing him. And that's where
Fair.
I stand, where any human being can either stop, get out of the way. He did not need to shove the cameraman. I don't know what's gonna happen. I think it's possible that he gets a 1 or 2 game suspension for this,
Yeah.
which is crazy to think because he just it's a shove, but
Well,
it's a tough
you think
spot for
about it.
Devontae.
You got Devontae Adams on a bye this week and then potentially out for a week or two with a suspension.
Yeah.
That would be brutal. I don't know if he'll get a suspension, but definitely he'll be stroking the pen on a checkbook. Like a payday is a payday.
Yeah, he's been officially charged with a misdemeanor. So I mean, the guy knows what he's doing. He's not dumb. He knows if he player touches him, he's gonna sue.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Let's pivot. Do you want to start with buys or sells first?
Let's get to the buys, the players that you
Yeah,
should go knocking on the door and seeing kind of what the price is.
agreed. Um, I'll let you kick things off. I know this is your top buy, and I'm right there with you.
We know. My number one buy is gotta be DeAndre Swift. And he might be hard to attain because if the owner has him, he's been sitting on for so long. Everyone wants to see DeAndre Swift back, but
Yeah.
the injuries at the position are so vast that I think you can get him
Mhm.
with Damian Harris, Javante, um, James Conner, all these players going down. It's possible that the DeAndre Swift owner is hurting. So that's the strategy, and hopefully, for your sake, that's why you can get him off their team. Um, right now, he's still a top 30 running back, only playing 2.5 games. So I do think that DeAndre Swift is a really good target. I'd rather have DeAndre over Kamara rest of season. I
Oh
think
yeah.
he's easily a top 10 running back rest of season with that top 2 upside. Like he could be right there with Christian McCaffrey. There was a
Mhm.
time where he was getting just as many or more targets as McCaffrey, and that's what we love to see in any kind of PPR, half PPR format. Really big fan of DeAndre Swift. It's been said from the get go that he was going to come back after the bye, or he's going to be out through the bye week.
Right.
Um, I do really hope that he's back. It's still to be determined whether he's back or not, but I don't really care the schedule. We see that the Lions can move the ball no matter what, but they do have Dallas, Miami, Green Bay, Chicago, the Giants, Buffalo, Jacksonville. Like all these games, the Lions defense is so bad that they're going to be shootouts. Even if it's
Yep.
a bad quarterback on the other side, it's going to be shootouts, and DeAndre Swift will be in the game no matter what. I'm excited for Swift, and I think he'll get back that workload. Jamal Williams, of course, will be involved, but it'll be more of a 60-40 split. And hopefully DeAndre Swift gets enough targets and receptions for him to be that top guy like we know he can be.
Yeah, like the thing holding him back is that he's going to be potentially vultured like he was at the
Yeah.
beginning of the year. But regardless of that, I think the reason why you can buy him is DeAndre Swift owners are maybe growing a little impatient. They, after week 3, they took a hit to their roster. Maybe they didn't have proper insurance with Jamal Williams. Maybe they lost somebody else like Javonte Williams. Maybe there's some holes in their lineup and they're just growing impatient. And now that, Jamal Williams is on bye, you can just swoop in and say like, hey, I've got a little bit of running back depth. I'll give you this piece. I'll give you this wide receiver. We'll do a 2-for-1. I'll take DeAndre off your hands. And if you don't need him this week, like you're a team that's 4-1, 3-2 even, like make that trade. Go get that guy that's going to help you win off a panicked owner. So that's why I think you can get DeAndre Swift. I'm with Landon. I'm also with the thought of getting Christian McCaffrey. So this kind of seems crazy. It's like, why is Christian McCaffrey, the running back 6 on the year, on your buy list? Because before I said Christian McCaffrey, running back 6, you probably felt differently about his fantasy finish. He hasn't had the big game yet. He's been very consistent, but he hasn't had the multi-touchdown score. He hasn't had the 100 rushing, 100 receiving game. He has, though, in every single game, either scored a touchdown or ran for 100, or I should say tallied 100 all-purpose yards. His usage is elite. Like, he's on the field 86% of the time as a average snap share. He is commanding a 93% opportunity share. Those are elite numbers. And through 5 weeks, he looks good. There's no signs of him slowing down, getting re-injured. Now that I say that, it'll happen. But like his target share is there. Last game, 30% target share. Unbelievable. And yes, there's a change from Baker Mayfield to potentially PJ Walker, and that might change things. But he's like the lone bright spot on this horrendous offense. Like DJ Moore is struggling. Baker Mayfield's atrocious, but it's Christian McCaffrey. And if you drafted Christian McCaffrey, you might be thinking differently. You might think, you know what? I spent the 101 on him and he's not that. And I'm going to get out from underneath him. And that's the perfect opportunity to buy him. So I'm going to do that with a tough matchup this week against the Rams. I'm going to buy Christian McCaffrey if I can.
And you brought up a good point where I think a lot of people are just waiting for him to get hurt. Mm-hmm. So he's not untouchable. He's not that running back that once was with McCaffrey, where there's just no way you could have got him before. Now you absolutely can. You don't have to overspend. There's so many wide receivers that are doing so well, and the running backs really just aren't. So, you could absolutely get McCaffrey, and that's a great trade for target. He's going to be super great, safe rest of the season as long as he stays healthy.
Your next buy?
Yeah.
Michael Pittman, wide receiver 32, living in the shadow of Alec Pierce.
Yeah. This is a guy I want to discuss and talk about because there's some concern with this Colts offense. There's some serious concern. His target share is still there, but the quality of targets isn't. His depth of target isn't there. He's a typical like 10 plus yard per a reception, but he's now getting targeted close to the line of scrimmage. And that's not what we like to see out of Michael Pittman. We want him going deep, getting those big, high value targets. And it hasn't really been that way. This is a belief in the talent of Michael Pittman, the ability to kind of overcome Matt Ryan and this bad offensive line. JT, is terrible. He's not on this list. He could be, but I think everyone's a little bit worried about JT as well.
A little bit.
So, I think Michael Pittman is a great option. What's your level of concern with the Colts right now, Mac?
I just don't. It's not the Colts that I'm concerned with. It's Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan looks terrible,
dreadful.
Quarterback 24 in the year so far. Has busted you twice now in 5 weeks if you've been playing him. Who's playing Matt Ryan? Nobody in single quarterback leagues.
Yeah.
There's just no reason for you to do so. But he's just been typical Matt Ryan, low volume, fairly efficient, but not pushing the ball downfield. Which is if you can get the ball to Michael Pittman in the right spot and let him kind of work, that's cool. But he's also not commanding that target share that we would want. So, he was at the beginning of the season. Now, though, it's taking a little bit of a hit. So
Yeah. I think you can get him for a deal. I think everyone
yeah.
who owns Michael Pittman sees this and is concerned. So I think you're being at wide receiver 30, 32.
Mhm.
He's bit 29 in full PPR leagues. I mean, I think you can weave the story, the narrative that he's just not who you drafted. So we'll see. Let me know in the comments if you can get Pittman for a good deal because I do think his potential and his upside is still there in that top 12-ish range, maybe more closer to top 15 now with the bad play at quarterback.
Yeah, I'm okay buying him. I do think that you can probably shake that owner pretty easily. So
Yeah.
let us know if you're interested in buying Pittman. Maybe some candidates we could pull off your roster and say, hey, you could probably part with this person or sell high on this person for Pittman and so and so. I'm going to bring up Chris Godwin, who's currently wide receiver 74. Now, we've seen Godwin on the field for the last 2 weeks. He did miss weeks 2 and 3, but he's back now. 83% snap share in week 4, only 52% snap share in week
I don't
5,
like that.
but went 6 for 6, 61 yards. He was the go-to guy for Tom Brady, and that's what I want to bring up is that Chris Godwin matched his week 4 total on basically half the snaps. Completely efficient, wide open, averaging just over 10 yards per catch, which is pretty much right on the money for Chris Godwin. The week of his return was a little bit shallow, but Brady's looking better. This offense is coming back together. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, healthy. Rachaad White getting a little bit more involved. If Julio Jones can get back on the field, things could really look up for Brady. And when Brady's hot, he goes to Godwin. So Chris Godwin is a volume play. Chris Godwin is probably somebody you can get fairly cheap right now because he hasn't cracked 10 points in a half PPR league on the year. That's not what people drafted. When they took him as a discount in the 5th or 6th round, they thought they got an absolute steal and they were stoked. And turns out that they have not gotten that. So scoop him up before he becomes that for those owners. Have him become that for you. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go and get a lot of Chris Godwin where I don't have him, but actually in the league I'm looking at Chris Godwin, it says Lando Snap owner. So that one might be tough, but for the most part, you need to go ahead and get yourself some Chris
I like it.
Godwin.
I've got lots of Chris Godwin. I've
You
had
do.
people approach me recently trying to get him off my team. So I think there's a lot of owners that are right on the same path as you, Mac.
Yep. Another buy candidate for you, Rashad Bateman, currently wide receiver 45, goes up against the New York Giants this week.
Yeah, he's been hurt, and typically I don't like to trade for injured players, right? As
Mm-hmm.
a rule of thumb, why would you try to yeah, I get lots of comments like trying to trade for injured players. Like, well, just stay healthy. Like, might as well just play your player that's healthy and then he can help you win rather than get a 0 on the bench. But I do like this is a bet on talent
That
again.
is elite analysis.
Well, I mean, you would think that it's without being said, but I do think that Rashad Bateman is worth getting and as seen what the price is. Because if you're a Rashad Bateman owner, you're probably sick and tired of having him on your team and you're thinking about dropping him for that matter.
Yep.
So I do think that Bateman is worth he's a throw-in piece in trades now. So
Yep.
he's a player that everyone is really excited about to start the season. I tried to get him in dynasty leagues, but now I think he's just done. Owners are done with Rashad Bateman. So he's not necessarily the focus of the trade, but he's that add-on piece. So if you're trying to get a DeAndre Swift and you're like, well, you know what, I just need Rashad Bateman to make this deal go through, and probably the owner is going to be just fine with that. So that's where I land on Bateman. I'm not going to pay the world for him. I want him as a trade, as an add-on piece, but I like the talent. They need him in Baltimore, and yeah, I think he can be that option where Duvernay is excelling in that role, and I think they need Bateman back to be the number one option in or I guess number two option besides Mark Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
Bateman needs to be there for Lamar.
Yeah, Devin Duvernay right now is currently the wide receiver 24 on the year in half PPR leagues, which is crazy. I think I think I just changed the banner for you. It says buy low, not buy low
There we go. That's
on
good.
Rashad Bateman. You're right. He is kind of seen as like a throw-in piece. Someone whose snap share is declining a little bit. I do think that in that week 4 game, it was just straight up due to injury.
Yeah. Yeah. He was out.
What I would like to see from Rashad Bateman is, can he be valuable from a fantasy team from a volume standpoint and not from a big play standpoint? Because I don't want to play Rashad Bateman if it's, my week hinges on him scoring a 50-yard touchdown.
Right. That big play.
He, he's
That's a great point.
he's had 2 of them so far this year.
Yeah.
So that is something that we do have to note. But for the most part, they are using Duvernay downfield. They can use Rashad Bateman downfield. They can also use him in the slot. And I think if he can get that reliable slot work alongside Mark Andrews, they're going to be in great shape. So Bateman, yeah, super buy low, and I don't mind it well. But yeah, the big playability is great, but it's not something that I want to rely upon.
Rely on.
Yeah,
That's
so
fair.
I want to see a little bit more from him and Lamar in terms of volume before I truly buy. But I think if you can just like buy and stash as like super low, I think that's a good move.
Love it.
If you are just joining us, feel free to put a comment in the comment section, and we will get to those comments probably in about 15 to 20. We're almost done our buy candidates. We're going to go through our sell candidates as well, and then we'll move on to your questions. I've got one more buy candidate here that I want to talk about. Jamar Chase, currently wide receiver 18, plays the Saints this week. If you drafted Jamar Chase in the back of the first round, the beginning of the second, you're probably disappointed. And I don't blame you. The first week for Jamar was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, it's been a little bit of hit and miss. It's been a little bit of T. Higgins. It's been a little bit of touchdown dependency, but it's not been who you drafted Jamar Chase to be. And I get it. As someone who, I watch a lot of Packers games. I also watch a lot of Bengals games because I own Jamar Chase in almost every league. Things that I liked from this past week. And yes, T. Higgins was out, but 3 red zone targets, 35% target share, and he was held to only 50 yards. So he's still getting elite level usage. He's still drawing a ton of defensive pressure. They're starting to move him around the field a little bit more, which is encouraging. The first week he did what he did. Weeks 2 and 3, he kind of got checked a little bit, and Zach Taylor just left him out on the edge of the field. He was just playing the exterior of the field, which I didn't really like. And last week, they moved him around a little bit. They got him involved early. They got him involved in the screen game. It wasn't super effective, but they're trying. They're trying to involve their best player, and those are good signs. So go ahead and buy Jamar Chase. There's no way that this continues for the rest of the season. He's too talented. He's too good. Joe Burrow's too good for that to happen. So
Yeah, I love it.
Buy him. I'll also throw out really quick AJ Brown, who's super high finish on the year. He's a tougher buy, but people might be a little bit disappointed after last week's 3 for 32. But those 3 receptions for 32 yards came on literally the first drive of the game and nothing after. It was like the Devontae Smith hyper target show, which is cool, which is great. But feel free to buy AJ Brown if you're in that higher tier of interest.
Yeah, I'm seeing lots of comments about AJ Brown. I love AJ Brown, and if you can get him, he's not untouchable right now. Wide receiver 11 in PPR leagues.
Mm-hmm.
You should be just to knock on the door and see if he's available for an elite piece. You have to pay up, but he's worth it.
Someone we're not going to talk about, but I want to ask you: are you buying Kenneth Walker with the Rashad Penny news out for the season?
That's a great question. Kenneth Walker, our video has blown up, and I'm a big fan of Kenneth Walker. I think this Seattle offense is way better than I expected. I also did I was wrong video about DK Metcalf. Apologies to Geno Smith for besmirching his name. He looks legit. But I do think that the hype has kind of gone really high. I think we're expecting good things from him, and I think it's going to be great. But man, I think if you can get like a really good option like a Joe Mixon, who I really like, combine them together and get an elite. You can get elite wide receivers for a guy that hasn't done a single thing. We don't know how much Dallas is going to be used
Mhm.
still.
Oh, this is where Pete Carroll's just gonna have like a 1-2 punch with DJ Dallas and Ken
Oh,
Walker.
and fantasy owners are going to be screaming. I will be too, but I like him. I like him more than a guy like guys we'll talk about later in the show. I'll tell you that for
Well,
free.
one other name I can bring up is Brian Robinson. Are you buying Brian Robinson after
No,
this first week?
no. I don't think either. It's kind of like the LA Rams, where you don't want Cam Akers or Daryl Henderson. I don't
You
want
just
Antonio
want
Gibson
nothing.
or Brian Robinson.
Antonio Gibson is kind of like, I think, end of the road. Like
He's
Brian
done.
Robinson was on a pitch count and was less productive than Brian Robinson. Like we're talking 3 carries, 6 yards, 32% snap share for Antonio Gibson, who like a year removed from a top 20 running back.
Yeah, had 72 yards receiving in game 1. He looked legit against Jacksonville.
Yeah, this team
And
has legitimately like moved on under the radar.
I don't know why,
I
but I
don't get it
mean,
either.
either way, I don't want Robinson or Gibson for that matter.
I
It's a
mean,
volume back on a bad team. If I'm gonna want a volume back on a bad team, I'll take a guy like Kenneth Walker. I'll take a guy like David Montgomery. Like
yeah. I
that's
just
that.
the Brian Robinson thing is a very interesting situation to me. Yeah, they drafted him in the 3rd round. But like he was a senior at Alabama. He had 1,600 scrimmage yards last year. He was fantastic, but he was a senior. And we know what senior production is all about in college football. I don't think he's like super special. He ran slow. He's like a mid 4.55 guy. He doesn't have the greatest vision. Like I don't
What
really see what the Commanders see as him in a prospect, and Antonio Gibson has shown at the NFL level he can be productive on in both facets of the game. So like I don't get it, but they're
yeah,
trending that way. They're going that way. It's the proof is in the numbers.
they have anointed him for whatever reason. He's on that pedestal to them. Who knows? Maybe they just don't want to pay Gibson.
Did you see him come out on the field to
To many
Many Men
men.
by 50 Cent?
Great, and you know what? Love
Unbelievable.
love the story.
It's like a
I'm
shivery
I'm
moment, you know, you're like,
I'm
"Whew,
shocked. I'm shocked that he's back already.
5
Uh,
weeks,
it's
literally 5
crazy
weeks." Yeah.
from being shot twice. I mean, nobody really knew for sure what was going to happen, but good for him. That's an incredible recovery. Good for the man. I'm happy for him that he can play on the NFL field. But for fantasy, I just don't see it for either back now.
Yeah. Let's move on to some sell candidates here. Your first sell candidate, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back 9
Yeah.
currently, going up against the Buffalo Bills. Why are you selling Clyde if he's a top 10 option?
Well, he hasn't. I mean, he's right around. Okay, his best snap percentage is 56%, and
Right,
it was 2 weeks ago against Tampa Bay.
right.
He
And how many touchdowns does he have so far?
So he's got 5 touchdowns,
5. So averaging 1 a week.
1 a week,
Yeah.
and I do think Clyde Edwards is a better running back than he was in his first few seasons in the NFL. I do
Sure.
think he has leveled up, just not to the point of a top 10 fantasy running back. He's just
Mhm.
and he almost got a touchdown this past week against Las Vegas. He could have gotten 2, but that would have just it's a
Taken away from the
fallacy
magic of
almost.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, if it
Yeah.
wasn't for the magic, Clyde was down. His butt was down on the inch yard line. Like he just
Yeah,
couldn't
it's
get it
really
done.
close.
But unfortunately, just Clyde, he's too valuable right now. He's not worth a top 8 running back in PPR leagues, 9.5 PPR. Like he's just a guy that you need to try to capitalize on if you can. If what I said earlier, all these teams are struggling at the running back position. Either their
Mhm.
guy isn't performing or they're hurt. Now people see Clyde as being a top 10 guy. The box score watchers, You can make a case for him. He's on the best team in football. Everyone loves the Kansas City Chiefs. Doesn't matter who they play. Each and every week, Clyde is
Yep.
going to he'll get the opportunities. But again, it happened so good for him week 1 against Arizona, and the pendulum swung the complete other way against the Vegas Raiders, and that's what we can see as well. Under 2 yards per carry, no touchdowns,
Right.
and he's done.
And I think this is a good time to get out because the next 3 weeks, Buffalo Bills, San Francisco 49ers, and then a bye week. So you really don't want to play Clyde the next 3 weeks if you can help it, or you won't be playing in week 8. But I mean, Buffalo, San Francisco, not matchups I want to have. I'm with you. Like the snap share, he's only broken a 50% snap share once, and that was in week 4. 19 rushing attempts that week. But if we look at total touches on sub 50%, 10 touches, 12 touches, sorry, not touches, opportunities. Touches, 10, 12, 12, 20, 12.
Yeah.
So like when he's on the field, he's being used, but they're also substituting Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, and just running the football a ton. Like they are like a 80-20 split between pass and run, especially when they get behind. So I'm with you on the Clyde Edwards-Helaire one. I'm also selling Dalvin Cook.
Oh,
This
coming in
one's a
hot.
little bit spicy. Epicé. Not as spicy as dropping $89 on Taysom Hill in a fantasy football league.
Okay.
That's a story for another time. But this one's pretty spicy. So Dalvin Cook, the reason why I'm selling, he's the running back 14, which when I brought that up, Landon was like, he's the running back 14? Yeah, he is. But where I think you can sell high on Dalvin and pivot to somebody else is that if we look at the snap share, Dalvin is getting the volume, no doubt. But last week, he had 20 touches, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns, the big game, super easy sell on a 57% snap share. And who was in there for 43% of the snaps? Alexander Madison. This is more of a 1-2 punch than we want to believe. This is more of a committee approach to running the football than we want to believe if we are Cook owners. And I think the sooner we understand that, the better. You know, without the 2 touchdowns, I mean, Dalvin Cook's running for 2 a carry, which is fine on that volume, but you know, you're not even breaking 10 points, double-digit points in a half PPR league.
He's what? He ran for 5.2 a carry.
Sorry, what did I say? Oh, yeah. Sorry, 5.2. Yeah, 20 for 96. But you take away those touchdowns, it's like this is barely a double-digit day for Dalvin. I would like to see him back on the field, being more the bell cow. I just don't think that is the actual case moving forward. I think they're going to use them both. And we've seen when it comes to the high value touches, they have put Madison in on the goal line for whatever reason. And he's had cracks at the end zone and he's scored. So this is like a DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams situation. But we know we know that Swift catches the ball a ton. Dalvin, not as much. So
not so much.
I'm selling Dalvin after the big game. They play the Dolphins this week. Decent matchup. Probably even better so because they look like they're going to start their 3rd string quarterback. No Tua. Teddy might pass protocol, but we don't know. So I would go ahead and sell Dalvin and move on.
Yeah, I mean, you should be able to get top dollar for Dalvin Cook. If you're hurting and you need the depth, you can get 2, 3, 4 players that are going to be starting on your team. I think that's where you look to move him, is if you're really hurting for depth. If you're hurt, if you're on bye week, if there's injuries, suspensions, whatever it is, taking advantage of that big game and selling for top dollar. I mean, you should be able to get several elite options if you sell Dalvin Cook.
Let's go to Zeke.
Yeah, on the complete other side of the spectrum, Zeke Elliott just doesn't have it anymore, and we know this. We see it that Tony Pollard is the real deal, and Zeke is getting the opportunity, but it's mostly because he's been just paid to do so. He's running for under 4 per carry. I know that's not the end all be all, but he's only playing. I mean, 65% of the snaps on average is fine, but um, man, it's tough outlook for Zeke Elliott. And like I mentioned before, people need running back, so Zeke is not an impossible sell. You should be able to sell him if you can combine him with someone else that's maybe overachieving. And then you can upgrade at the running back position. That's what I would do. Trying to get a Brees Hall, I mean, like a DeAndre
Oh,
Swift, like some of these targets that we're saying, combine Zeke with someone else. If you have the depth and upgrade get a target of Jamar Chase. I mean,
I mean,
that's
I definitely don't think the Zeke for Swift happens, but if someone was super panicked and like they needed somebody this week, Zeke
maybe
and a piece for Swift,
that's
yeah,
it.
I would do it in
You
a
need to you
heartbeat.
need to probably add a piece to Zeke. He still has the
Sure.
big name.
Yep.
That's America's team. We know. I mean, there's always going to be people that just look at opportunities. I mean, 22, 19, 15, 15. He's getting the opportunities on the ground, but basically nothing in the targets. He
Well,
got
and
nothing
for
against the Rams. 2-1, 2-2, like basically nothing.
I
So
I for me, I wouldn't even have to look at a box score, look at advanced analytics. When it comes to Zeke, I watch him play and I'm just like, nope, does not pass the eye test, does not have the juice anymore,
yeah,
does not look like unstoppable, gotta let the man eat. Ezekiel Elliott. He just
man.
kind of looks like a shell of himself.
He used to be so good. I remember him watching it in the preseason, and he just trucked a guy, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this rookie is incredible."
Like when Saquon Barkley gets the ball, it's like downhill running so quick, doesn't matter who's in the way. That's what Zeke used to be, and I mean, he's 26 going on 27, he just doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, so you should be selling Zeke if you can. We were advocates for Zeke early on, but he was going at such a value that it felt like a no-brainer. I just don't think he's got the upside anymore. Cooper Rush doesn't help. I think it does. It will help it when Dak gets back, and that could be a selling feature. Maybe with Dak back, he gets more of those checkdowns, and he's better off for fantasy. But I'm going to take advantage of us. You probably a roster that's hurt,
Yeah, oh yeah.
and get Zeke off your team.
I'm also gonna get Najee Harris off my team, currently running back 29, and
I don't
things
know if the
don't get
Salvation
better.
Army would take Najee right now.
The what?
I don't think the Salvation Army would take
Oh,
Najee right now. That guy reeks.
terrible. Najee Harris, we've got some injury concerns. We have massive O-line concerns, which we knew about coming into the season, and we also have just offensive concerns. I think Kenny Pickett's been a nice addition to the offense, but it doesn't fix all their problems. The offensive line is truly their problem. And with Najee Harris, what I'm most concerned with is he doesn't look himself, kind of like Zeke, doesn't really pass the test. I think he's playing banged up. I think he's trying to play through injury, and either he needs to just take some time
Mhm.
um, or whatever. But we look at last game, Jalen Warren outsnapped Najee Harris 51 to, I think it was 47. Najee wasn't even 50%. He had more targets and receptions than Najee. Jalen Warren had 5 receptions, Najee 1. So when we're talking about Najee Harris last year being the running back 4 who built an unbelievable baseline based on his pass catching, that is just not there anymore because we don't have geriatric Big Ben checking it down 4 yards every single time. And that's what Najee was so good at. It was volume, volume, volume. He wasn't the most efficient. He didn't score a bundle of touchdowns like James Conner did. He was a volume play. And we can clearly see that that is not the case this year. So I think that the name value of Najee Harris, the potential for him is still there in people's minds. I think we do have to take what the Steelers are right now, and that is not good and not getting any better. They play the Tampa Bay Bucks this week, and I'm petrified of that matchup as we saw what happened against the Bills last week. So I'm going to sell Najee at all costs. I would straight up trade Najee Harris for Ken Walker right now.
There we go. I was just going to say I'm starting Ken Walker over Najee, and I'd rather have him rest of season as well. Crazy to say.
I told people on the Sunday Live last week to sit Najee Harris for Ramondre Stevenson.
And that worked out great.
It did. Great call. Not something that I would advocate doing on a weekly basis, but like my level of confidence on Najee last week was in the dumps, and Ramondre, obviously Damian Harris leaving, blah, blah, blah. But like, that's where we're at with Najee right now. He's a name. Sell the name.
Yep, exactly.
One more name to go along with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Diontae Johnson.
Yeah, it's not looking good. I mean, he is a very good talent. It feels like he should be a top 12 guy, but man, wide receiver 35, it's not going to get better with Kenny Pickett.
Well,
I'm out on the Steelers.
I've heard a couple people make the opposite case. Like I listened to Andy Holloway say that today he's actually buying Diontae Johnson.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, he just had a 13 target game. Kenny Pickett seems to like him. The offense is not getting better. The red zone upside is not there. This is a volume guy. If he gets the volume, cool, but he only caught 55 of those 13 targets. It's
the quality of targets.
The quality of targets is not what he's used to, and things could get better. But I don't want them to have to get better with me relying on it on a week-to-week basis. So I will sell Diontae Johnson. I will use this 13 target game as a selling feature. Look at all the volume he's getting. They'll get some chemistry going and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to move on.
Yep.
It sucks, man. There's some crazy names on this list, Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Zeke Elliott, Diontae Johnson, Clyde. I'm selling them all.
Yeah. I think you're coming out on top. But just make sure you get good value for them. So let us know in the comments of our videos. We still answer every single one. Let us know the kind of value you are getting for these players.
We got 18 minutes here for questions. If you're still around, we're going to go ahead and answer yours, starting off with Adam Bergerson, AJ Berg, Dynasty League, AJ Brown, T. Higgins, Adam Thielen, DeAndre Hopkins. Also has Mixon, Eckler, Montgomery, Walker, ETN, and CEH. Trade ETN for Godwin in a half PPR. It kind of feels like you don't have to trade for Godwin, if I'm being honest here.
It's that third wide receiver spot beside AJ Brown
but he's going to have Hopkins back after this week.
Yep.
Week 7, you're going to be able to play Hopkins. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I would rather hold on to ETN
in Dynasty.
In Dynasty, like Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the guy I would rather trade, and I think he's probably an easier trade away because of some of the things we've detailed tonight. Right. So I would do CEH for Godwin.
Yeah, and maybe you can get Godwin plus then.
Sure.
If we're going to go that way, and maybe, I mean, ETN is such an interesting candidate. He's been really not used properly so far with the Jaguars, and Robinson is just a thorn that's going to be around. ETN's a great trade for candidate in Dynasty League. So
yeah, I still think things are going to change in that backfield.
Yeah, he's not going to help you win this year, though. I don't think.
No. Going forward, Mixon or Swift in a full PPR. I'm going to say Swift.
Yeah, I think Mixon. I do like Mixon as a trade for candidate. He's used in all facets of the game and the receiving game and everything. So I think Mixon's a great trade for. But I think I like Swift for the targets in a full PPR league. But if you're gonna do that trade, just wait till next week. Keep Mixon this week and trade for Swift next.
Yeah, that's fair. They have a tough matchup this week against the Saints. Saints have been really, really solid, but after that, it gets a little bit better for Joe. The only thing I don't like about Joe is that for whatever reason, the Bengals just continue to try to run the football when they can't.
Right.
A la the 2.5 yard per carry game, even though he got like 22 attempts. Like, it's just,
yeah.
I think there's some coaching issues there with Zach Taylor, but
mm-hmm.
I think as a talent, we're still there with Joe. Hey, I'm 0-5 with Herbie, Cook, Aaron Jones, Amon Ra, Jamar, Mark Andrews. Recently traded for Waddle for the flex. Who should I trade and for who? I also have Ken Walker, Jacobs, Hawkinson on the bench. I mean, it sounds like you play in a shallower league with how good your team is and how bad your record is. So, Surya, like these are tough questions because we don't really know the needs of the owners that you're trying to make deals with. So the best thing that you could do is join the Discord, post, pictures of your roster, the person you're trying to make a trade with roster, and we can help you craft a trade that way.
Yeah.
But in terms of like what you should do with this team, I
Combine
mean,
like Aaron Jones and Amon Ra and get like a Derrick Henry type player.
sure.
Like I don't like, or you might as well get rid of Hawkinson because you have Andrews. There's no need for two guys. You should
Mhm.
have done that last week,
Last week
but
after the big one.
yeah.
I mean,
Um,
like Josh Jacobs is a really interesting like sell candidate potentially if you don't think that things will remain the same the rest of the season. You could pair him with someone and go make a trade. You could take our advice and sell Dalvin Cook and just shake things up. But
but if you're selling Jacobs, you should be able to get like a CMC. That's what like he's so
well,
valuable. Everyone saw him Monday night. Like you should. He
it,
looks great.
it depends on again what the CMC owners' needs are. Like if
Correct.
they need a wide receiver, you could put like Jacobs and Amon Ra together, go get yourself a CMC. You could turn around and sell Dalvin Cook for some wide receivers. Like you feel free to like make multiple deals to figure out what you need. But yeah, join the Discord and we can give you some more targeted advice. It's tough here because we don't have all the pieces.
You need to fill the need for someone else. That's the biggest part.
Agreed. Vert84 just traded for Jamar Chase, Evans, Hunt, and Dylan W.
Mike
Yeah,
Evans?
like you gave up Mike Evans, Kareem Hunt, AJ Dillon. I think that's a lot.
Yeah, you're trading a lot.
I would have liked to at least have some running back depth. I would have been okay if you went Evans and one of the running backs, like Dylan, for example, and kept Hunt. I think you maybe gave up a little bit too much, but hopefully Jamar turns it around for you quick.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, Mike Evans is legit. He's a stud.
Should I give Sanders and Terry for Swift? I'm 4-1 right now with Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce, David Montgomery in a 14-man league. 14-team leagues are tough
That makes
because
it tough because your depth is so valuable.
correct depth is potentially the difference between winning and losing. I am somewhat concerned for Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel eating into that role. Jahan Dotson, when healthy, commanding a target share. Terry
Wentz is
McLaurin has
just
not
bad.
been the same option. So while I don't like giving up depth, I do like getting Swift. So I probably would do this deal.
Yeah, it's really you're 4-1, so you are making that move for the championship, and you're really banking on Swift being that healthy back when they're done their bye week. And I really hope that's going to be the hinge. It's going to be him being fully back, fully healthy,
Yeah, and
and
I
we don't know
probably wouldn't
anything.
do I wouldn't do this deal this week. I would wait a week
If you can, yeah.
if you
Sanders
can.
has a good. I mean, they play the Cowboys. Sanders has been really good. The
Yep,
the Eagles are really good.
I know. Yeah, if you can get one other piece in return, like in a 2-for-1 like this, someone's gonna have to drop like that owner's gonna have to drop someone. So whoever they're gonna drop, get them to shovel over to
Mhm.
you, and at least that gives you a piece. But I would probably wait a week on this one.
Yeah.
Should I start Gino or Herbert? Wow.
That's the point we're coming to now, Mac.
Look, it's totally possible that Gino outscores Herbert again, but I'm rolling with Herbert. I drafted him to be my guy.
Yeah. Monday night against Denver should be a fun game. I don't think Keenan Allen's back, but it doesn't really matter.
Matter. No.
I think Herbert's a top. I mean, you're looking at Herbert as a top 5, 6 quarterback, and Gino, he's top 12, but he's still behind.
Right.
against Arizona. Like, I mean, Gino, that's gonna be that's gonna be a nice matchup.
I look, he's probably gonna outscore him again, but I would go Herbert. For the flex, Curtis Samuel or Jalen Waddle. I'll still just play Jalen Waddle.
uh, I know with the third or fourth string quarterback.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah. And the thing with Waddle is he's been hurt. So hopefully that groin injury is back to himself and he's going to play a full complement of snaps. That's what we want to see out of Waddle, and he'll be good.
Yeah. Who's better? I'm gonna assume this is Godwin and James Robinson, or Kamara and DJ Moore, Rondell Moore, Elijah Moore. There's so many Moores.
And why, says Mark.
And why? Okay, so let's just assume that this is DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Why not? Okay, it is DJ. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Man, that's tough. I would probably take the Kamara DJ Moore side, even though I think the best player in this whole thing is Chris Godwin.
Right.
But I would just take the Kamara and DJ Moore side. Like, we've seen DJ Moore have some decent games with PJ Walker, who I think is going to start. And then Kamara had some flashes last week. I'm still not targeting him as a buy. Like, he wasn't in this segment tonight. I'm not thrilled with it, but like I do still see a world where Kamara is more productive than James Robinson, who I wholeheartedly believe that Travis Etienne will continue to establish a workload for the Jags. It's not all going to be James Robinson.
2 consecutive bad weeks from James Robinson, playing under 50% of the snaps, and he really hasn't gone over 63% for the season.
It's been the big touchdown games for him.
Yeah, the first 3 weeks were great. He had touchdowns in every single one. Week 1 against Washington, he had 2 touchdowns. Man, it's tough. I think James Robinson is a very fine running back, but he's starting to worry me. Like, I was fully out, and then I'm like, all right, I guess I got to be in again after 3 weeks. And now it's like, he's making me eat my words. Like, what do I do with James Robinson? I can't get him right. So
I know.
What do you do?
And no, I think you just roll.
Yeah.
Current quarterback is Daniel Jones. Who are buy low QB options for me? Well, Daniel Jones is quarterback 14 on the year, so I think you're doing okay. Yeah. Even though it doesn't really feel like it. I don't know that there's anybody that I would like potentially buy low on. Like, Joe Burrow hasn't had the greatest start to the season.
Same with Herbert. Neither of them are that elite quarterback that you thought you'd get. I think Kyler Murray is a good buy low option, but you're gonna have to give away. I mean, no one wants Daniel Jones, so you're probably gonna have to drop him. So you have to trade a position that's valuable to you, where you could just stream and get Geno Smith off the waiver wire.
Well, that's literally the name that came to mind. And the reason why you could probably get Geno Smith is because no one believes that it can continue.
Sure.
Even people playing Geno Smith don't believe that it can continue. And we're on like 3 weeks in a row where it's just continued. So I don't know that we've got to buy low here, but man,
if you want an elite buy low, it's going to be Herbert or Burrow. Or Kyler, I guess. But you can't get the top 3-4 guys. You can't get Josh Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, Jackson. You just can't. They're impossible.
Right. No. Allen, Jackson, Mahomes, Hurts, Herbert, Burrow, kind of all off the board.
Burrow and Herbert aren't in that tier right now.
Well, I'm just saying, like, total fantasy points, they actually are. Like, Herbert is I guess he's 10. Quarterback 10 right now.
Yeah. And like, if you look at Josh Allen and Hurts, they're so far ahead of them as far as fantasy points goes.
Yes. Yeah, but you just can't get like an elite buy low is like a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, but I don't really feel great about that.
No, I don't want Rodgers right now.
I don't want Rodgers.
He'll have his big games, but
he's never been somebody you really love for fantasy. He's just a very stable piece. But like Daniel Jones kind of has all the pieces that you want. He's got mobility. The
Mm-hmm.
Giants are 4-1.
Yep.
Like they're winning. I don't want a guy like Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, Ryan Tannehill, Justin Fields. Like I don't want any of those guys. You either got to like pay up and go get a stud, or you just kind of roll Daniel Jones. I think that's kind of where you're at.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Paz, you're never late to the snap party. Welcome in. Always a supporter of the show. We appreciate you.
Raven Life, I want to trade Cup for a running back and wide receiver, but what is he worth to you? Well, it doesn't matter what he's worth to me because I'm not trading with you. But I know people will pay for him.
I think he is worth a lot. You need to get an elite wide receiver that's just a tier down, and elite running back as well. So, like
a
Mike
CD,
Evans,
like a
Jamar
CD
Chase,
Lamb,
and AJ Brown.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a CD Lamb and
Aaron Jones.
A Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, Joe Mixon, Breece Hall.
Breece might be a tough one, but yes.
Hey, man, but at this point, like I'd rather have like one for one. I'd rather have Cup.
Of course,
right? Like
yes.
I don't know too many running backs I'd rather have over Cup. Like
that's the thing though, is if you have a need,
yeah,
at running back, let's just say right now you are playing, at your running back 2, you are playing Jamal Williams, who's been great.
Yeah, you need the depth.
You're hurt at the running back
position. You need a running back. I get it.
Or you've got Cam Akers and he's no longer playable as your RB2, and you just need somebody else there. Your step down from Cooper Kupp to, let's just say, CeeDee Lamb, it might be 10 points a week.
Right.
But what is your step up from Jamal Williams to Aaron Jones?
Right. Or that replacement running back.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Cam Akers to Aaron Jones. It could be more than that. So in the aggregate, you win. So it all comes down to needs. But I think you could probably get something like that done.
Yep. But you need top dollar. I don't want to sell a Cup unless you have to.
Agreed. I need to pick up a tight end. Hawkinson is on bye. Who do I drop? Hawkinson, ETN, Moore, or Bateman? I'm going to assume that's DJ Moore.
I'll assume that's DJ Moore as well. It's a good question. I mean, I said Bateman's a buy, but I mean, he might be the drop out of that list.
You can't drop ETN.
I don't want to, but I mean, you can.
You can probably drop, like honestly, out of the two, I'm still probably keeping DJ Moore over Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
And it's so tough because like one's dealing with a horrendous quarterback situation and the other is a little bit banged up. I'll take the guy that's a little bit healthier. But you could also just drop TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, you really could. You really could. If you need to, I mean, you could always wait too. Wait until Sunday night. What's the Sunday night game? And if your league allows you to drop players that have already played, I like to play that game. And
you like to be sneaky.
Yeah, exactly. And
the Rodney Ruxin ad drop.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at my guy Paz. Came in to just offer GGs from that Packers game in London, soaking in that Giants positivity after years of disappointment.
That.
I'll just give you the quick cheers on that one.
Cheers on that one.
Congrats on the win. I know it's been few and far between, so happy for you.
Yeah, like add Albert O on Monday if you need him to.
No.
Or like what's available on waivers, I guess. What tight ends are you adding? So I want to know.
I mean, guys that are available. I added like David Njoku in a lot of spots a couple weeks ago.
So I would just add Njoku and drop TJ Hawkinson then.
Yeah, and he's a name it's probably available.
Yeah. I'm just good with I'll just play Njoku rest of the season and just let someone pick up Hawkinson.
Taysom Hill, if he's available.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Irv Smith is in not a bad spot this week,
Yeah.
but I mean, he would be absolute bottom of the barrel. I'm in the same situation, man. I'm trying to add. I've got TJ Hawkinson in a league. I have no replacement tight end, and I have a claim in right now for Irv Smith.
Right. So I'd rather take a 0, like pick up an Irv Smith, get a 0 anyways, and then I'd rather just keep ETN, Moore, and Bateman.
But yeah, for sure.
Know what I mean?
Agreed. Yep. All day. All right, guys, that's an hour on the dot. Appreciate you guys coming by. Good luck in the Thursday night contest. Make sure that you stop by Sunday morning, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 90 minutes before kickoff. We go live. We'll get you guys right. Target some of these buys and sell candidates this week. See if you can get some deals done. Maybe you can scoop DeAndre Swift off of a panicked owner on a bye week. That would be our recommendation. Go get a Chris Godwin, who's going to be an elite wide receiver for the rest of the season. You heard it here first. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming by. Oh, we got one more here. Jacob's on bye. Amon Ra on bye. Got Brees and Eno as 1 and 2. This isn't even a question, but I'm just reading a team.
We do have. There we go.
There you go. Tyler Smith, would you trade AJ Brown for Godwin, Cooper, and Algier? If
Algier
you're
is a
getting the
non-piece to me. I don't care about Algier.
correct, if you're getting the Godwin Cooper side, I would.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a great week. Enjoy the Thursday night game. And until next time.
Goodbye.